Welcome to the Fix. Catherine, why don't you tell me what's giving you some trouble today and what brings you here?
Yeah, awesome. So I pronate in my feet. My right foot is definitely worse than my left, and it just throws all of the joints off, like all the way up. I definitely have some shoulder pain as well. Probably not related. I don't know, but
You're cracked.
I know that is. So I had a rotator cuff injury in high school, and ever since then, this shoulder, my right shoulder in particular, just really, the integrity, I think, of the joint has not been the same.
Do you have any PT or surgery for that?
Yeah, I've done PT on it several times, probably like twice, and then I've gone to chiropractic in the past, like a while ago, but I just haven't been consistent with it.
Sounds like you're doing. So what we're going to do is run through a movement assessment, and you can let me know if anything hurts when you're doing these movements. That's a good cue for us, even if it's just like a little bit, or you just feel like some pressure, like there's some pressure on my knee when I do that, or if there's something definitely sharp, let me know.
Okay.
But also I'm going to be looking to see how you're moving, if it's a balanced movement, or if it just feels weak to you, or you feel off balance.
Okay.
Classic movement we like to do is the squat, so I'll do it for you first. Just feet out a little bit, about gripping the ground, and you're just going to kind of drop the hips back. Maybe let the knees go over the toes at the very end there. You don't have to do anything fancy with the hands. You can reach out if you want. And just push the knees out to the side as you drive up tall. See how that feels.
Okay.
Really good. Back up. That's how you face the wall. Just
Okay.
keep it back. See if you're shifting left or right. You don't have to go as wide as I did, whatever just feels comfortable to you.
Okay.
Standard squat is. Let your hips shifted a little bit to the left side. Let's just know maybe there's something tight pulling you there. Give me one more.
Yeah.
We'll look more at your spine now. Hips, the pelvis tucks a little bit at the bottom, which tells us maybe there's a little some hamstring dominance. Pulls the pelvis down, or there's some restriction in the spine. And the
Okay.
spine, just has to do that motion. How'd you feel with it? Do the knees feel good?
Yeah, the knees felt okay.
Lower back achy at all of that?
Yeah, honestly, maybe it's a little tight.
Do you
Like,
feel the left more?
Yeah,
Okay.
the left side definitely more.
Yeah, so what I mean is just when you're going down, the hip pelvis kind of, not exaggerating, but
Right.
there, and then your pelvis kind of tucked underneath the bottom.
Okay. Interesting.
Otherwise, it's probably pretty strict.
Okay.
So the next move we call is the founder. It's from foundation training. So you're just gonna almost not squat. You're gonna get up big and tall. You're gonna open up your arms. Just pull your hips back. Feel that stretch in your hamstrings as the arms reach away from you. And then you'll come back into that first position. Maybe go through 3 or 4 of those for me. We'll have you face that wall again.
Okay.
There, and we're looking for the spinal muscles, which is where you should feel it stretching.
Okay.
But it really lets me see what's going on. So we'll open up the arms, maybe relax those knees a little bit, because you want the
Okay.
motion to start here in the hips. Pull those hips back towards me as the arms reach and scoop up. Hold that for a second. Do you feel that either side?
Yeah.
Feel it there. You can see the hips are wanting to rotate left again. Come back into that first position, so your arms are long and wide. We call that long wing. Then scoop them up as you go back. Do a little less knee bend. Well, yeah, you almost like you're trying to straighten your knees back, stretch the hamstring.
Okay.
Do you feel that left or right?
I feel it more in my hamstrings now for sure than I did the first time. Maybe the right.
Bring your fingertips together. Just raise your arms up as far as you can. How do your shoulders feel with that?
Okay.
Seems like that levels you out pretty good, but seems like this muscle's really tight here.
Yeah.
And then it feels like this left hip is tight.
Okay.
All right, relax out of that. It's kind of a good one. It's good movement assessment of a good exercise later, so you can remember these to do.
Okay.
So next we're gonna do a lunge. You can almost take that same position, and you're gonna reach way back, then slowly just tap the knee down, come back up. Try that on both sides. It's a big long lunge.
What arm
Doesn't
do
really
I
matter.
have?
I do the same side.
Okay.
Almost like that founder exercise. You're reaching, getting that leg back as far as I can. Then drop the knee down, see how that feels. Then push through that heel,
Okay.
come up through the standing position. I'm gonna feel it on that planted leg a lot. Go ahead and drop the knee. How does it feel pressing out of there? Any knee pain, hip
No
pain?
pain, but I guess I'm a
Wasn't
little
the funnest
shaky.
exercise?
Yeah.
Try the other side.
Okay.
Same thing. Reach, reach, reach. Here you thumped a little harder on that side. Balance a little off.
Yeah.
A little more on the left.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get to work on your spine.
Awesome.
There's some good clues, and we'll come back to those exercises.
Okay.
Usually when we get you lined up, you'll do better. Be straighter. So get your face down and we'll just check out your spine.
Awesome.
So Alex, if you want to move that camera around. Happy spots. What we're doing here is a leg check. So the left leg is shorter. Bring it up, it's just slightly shorter on the left. And you can kind of clue into that when she was doing her squats and hinges. This piriformis was tighter, which means this hip's gonna externally rotate kind of closer to the sacrum. So if you exaggerate that, we'll bring the hips up. Kind of see which leg goes farther. Pretty close there. A little stretch on her piriformis. So it attaches right here on the hip, which might be sore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A little stretch on that. We're taking that hip and what we're doing is we're internally rotating it, which is where it needs to go. Not necessarily an adjustment. Just taking that muscle, reminding it where it belongs. Depending on what level of fix you're doing, like right now we're just going to do like a little half-hour session, but we might do a lot of what we call PNF, which is resisted type stretching, where you'll actually push. So you'll push your knee down to the table. So now she's using that muscle in a weird stretch position. She doesn't like it. Go and breathe into that, and then relax, and then I'm able to actually stretch a little bit farther, and we'll repeat that as we go. But let's just see if that made a difference. Actually even the legs out. If anything, it made the left leg longer when it was shorter before. So we'll just check this side. Just as sore
Yeah.
or worse?
I don't think it's worse.
Sometimes we have one thing worse on the other side, but the painful side will be the opposite side. Piriformis can get overstretched, and that's what tends to be injured. So not necessarily the tight side that can pinch on the nerves or cause trouble. It's the side that's getting overstretched. Make it feel tighter, it'll feel taut to us. So some stiffness on the left side, just as when she was squatting, everything went to the left. It shows us the left side of the sacrum is bearing more weight than it should. Do you ever notice you tend to stand on one leg over the other?
I usually stand on the right side, I think.
Okay.
I think.
Doesn't matter which hip it is, sometimes it's just where that tension builds up in the sacrum. Do a few drops here with the table. So just pop up right where that hamstring comes in. Drop that down a few times, nudging the bones back where they belong. I made that sacrum feel better, but there's still a few more pops there. Let's see. Much better. Some people respond more to that than others. Some people are just really restricted, where that's not going to make a difference, but you actually do really well with that. I'm going to check the neck. Oh, we stretched both sides. We've kind of gone back to where they were, where the left was shorter. Some of the checks I do, the leg checks, are called torque release, which is looking at what the nervous system is telling me to do. It's like a deep tendon reflex. Like tap the knee with a reflex hammer. One knee will kick out more than the other. Lets us know, hey, there's an imbalance in the nerve flow. One reflex is responding stronger or less strong than the other. A little stretch here. Elevate your scap muscle. Just going to stretch it and adjust your atlas. There we go. Probably feel that in the shoulder too. The connection between that muscle there and where it attaches. laying here, I could feel has some stiffness over here, even though she's had rotator cuff issues on the right side. These ribs are a little bunched up, kind of stuck on that shoulder blade. So open up this thoracic area up top. It's a little tricky. Helps to angle this head down. Right below the third thoracic. Take a breath in. Breathe out. Took those ribs with it. And a little better. Just a bit more stuck at the bottom. A lot of ribs go underneath that shoulder blade. It's almost like there is a bit of a joint there. Not like your spinal joints, but they can get it teased. Just been stuck on each other. And when something's stuck, this has to do more work, or your spine has to do more work. You don't really notice it, but it adds up. Kind of lift your head. Good. Do that one more time. Give me a little head lift. Take this left arm behind your back. Just get underneath your shoulder blade. Feels great, right? Mm-hmm. There's one thing you can use that Theracane for. It's good at hooking. Actually, get right on the skin there. Digging in, going between the ribs. Breath work is really important for this, expanding the rib cage. Think about it as our most repetitive exercise is how we're breathing. A little stiffer than most people on that shoulder blade. Some people I can't get underneath there at all, but I can just about do it if I really hate you. Could be a couple different muscles. Breathe into there and relax. The big one is the rhomboid, attached to that shoulder blade, attached to these spinous processes. It just pulls it too far in. Could be a twisting of the spine as well that can cause that. So the spine's, kind of the fulcrum, and the shoulders just twist with it. Or you're twisting if you're using a mouse or driving in a certain position. Our friends, the legs here. Now, if you lay on your right side, we're going to adjust that lower spine. Bend the top knee, slide the whole hips forward. Fingertips just pushing lightly, setting that spinal bone back in place. Hang out right there. Introduce you to some vibration therapy, but also percussion, since this gun does both. It goes into the muscle, well, like a Theragun would, but it also does some side-to-side vibration. And look, just pick a nice tight spot like your piriformis, or run your hip. Do some motion. Bend the knee. So not just massaging, but retraining is the goal. Tight.
Yeah, like tickles.
Any pain in the front of your hip when we stretch like that, pinching, or just a stretch in the back?
Yeah, like a pinching almost in like the socket.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what we
Like
call
in the
an
front.
impingement syndrome. Just means, you think about it, we call this, it's a fancy word, retroversion. So this part of the hip has gone back, which causes the socket where it attaches to go
Yeah.
forward, and it gets jammed up deep into
Yeah.
there. So we'll come back to that guy. We'll go on the other side. We'll see if that one's impinged. Sometimes it's a one-sided thing, or bilateral thing. Bottom leg straight, top leg bent. So we just did that L4, and right above that, that's probably a little sore. Okay, not too bad.
I love
Stiffer on the side. Just want to rotate as well. Breath in. Breathe out. Let's see if this guy's pinching. No pinch on this side.
Just tight.
Just felt it more in the hamstring.
Yeah.
The other side was hamstring or was it more hip?
More hip, but I did feel it. Yeah.
Sore?
Yeah. It just tickles.
Some people can't handle the gun. It's a little ticklish.
Yeah.
How about right here? Too bad.
Not terrible.
Let's have you go on your back. Neck is pretty loose, just mostly around C2 here and one below it. Right on your C2. Just gonna stretch that. Open it up. Does that hurt? Breath in. Breathe out. Oh, good. Hold it there.
The right side, like right there, has definitely been hurting me. Sweet.
One thing we forgot to look at in our initial movement system is breathing. Even I forget about how important it is. One more. Sore over there. Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Keep picking on your left shoulder today.
That's okay.
Any trouble with the left, or is it usually the right that acts?
Well, the right, like it just, there's some weakness in the joint, like it just cracks a lot.
Turn your head to the right.
Actually, when we were doing that, the foundation movement that was not quite the squat,
Yeah.
just like extending my arm all the way out like that, I felt like almost a hyperextension with the right shoulder, like,
And where do you feel it in the shoulder? Can you point to it, or is it just?
in my right one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it, like I could feel like in the back of the socket almost,
Okay.
like, and then I always when
More on
I
your
feel,
blade or more there?
like back here, it'll feel like I could feel
There.
it popping out a little bit. Yeah, like kind of like just right at the back of it. Yeah.
There?
Yeah, like right there. And then it always feels like it has to crack, so then I just like crack it. That's been going on since
Right. It's kind of
I
that
was 17. So.
weird reactive stage where it's just lacking stability.
Yeah.
So it's probably not so much putting it back in place, but strengthening the muscles that hold it there.
Mhm.
Let's do this one more time. Bring your right ear to your right shoulder. So you bring your shoulder to your ear to shoulder. Almost done. Let's check her feet. My experience is not necessarily the feet, but the hips. But sometimes a good foot adjustment is worth its weight in gold. We ever measure foot adjustments. Which one gives you more trouble?
The right one, for sure.
On the other side. Is that pinching in that hip?
No. Yeah.
But there.
Yeah.
Try a stretch here. If that makes any difference. Does that pinch?
Yeah. It kind of just like, I don't know, but it hurts though.
Good hurt or bad?
It doesn't, yeah, it hurts. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to, maybe it's a pinch.
Any change when you do that now?
Yeah, I could definitely feel it.
A little smoother?
Sometimes when I'm like, if I am doing like workouts that require my legs to move off the ground, like V-ups or
V-ups.
things like that, I can feel clicking in my hips. Yeah.
Do that too. Does the ankle get sore?
Sometimes it's the right ankle. Like, it's usually all the right side
All
that I
right
have
side.
issues with. But sometimes like,
Stop finding all the restriction on your left side. It's interesting.
yeah. It's very, it's interesting.
It's around the right lower back. It's definitely tight. You can see it underneath that founder stretch. The right band is tighter from the rib cage down to the hip. Both arms overhead. You can see her left arm pretty shorter. Can you notice that too? Bring them back up there. That palm's a little lower. Tells us psoas or that QL muscle is probably tight on that left, and they both go deep into that socket. So we're gonna massage that, recheck the hip, and see if that helps. So put those down at your sides for now. Bend both knees. Founder exercise is good for it, but also that reach is also really good to either it's going to engage the psoas on the leg that's planted or stretch the psoas on one. So it's tight, but it's taut is a better word for it on this
Gotcha.
left side. Sometimes it's pretty tender. Not bad compared to the other people. Sometimes it's like immediately like feels like an iron bar. It's a big breathing muscle, so we're gonna have you suck that belly button in. Those bottom two ribs, I want you to push them down as you inhale. You can feel how you're trying to push up against my thumb.
Yeah.
Try to breathe in and pull. It's really tough. It's a weird, expansive type breath, and sometimes you don't feel like you're getting much expansion because you can't get much air in. But that's the same breath we'll do that time. So give me a few of those. Just maybe 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale. It's harder through the nose. There we go, we're starting to feel it. those arms. I know we didn't do a lot, but sometimes just a little clues us in if we're actually doing the right thing. Closer, you can still see it's a little shorter. We're getting better. Let's check the hip too. So straighten both out. And how's that feeling?
Better.
Not too pinchy if we force it maybe.
Yeah, no.
How about this direction?
It's okay. I always feel like
Slightly improved?
yeah.
In the right direction at
Yeah.
least?
It almost felt like a slight pinching behind, but then it went away. It was just
Almost
like
in the back of the hip on?
Yeah, like under here, like under the hip, like in.
Okay, that's
that
where your
area.
hamstring attaches.
But then it was fine.
Stretching that hamstring a little bit. And just double check here. Feels good.
Yeah.
How's that one feel? Just like the other one in the hamstring.
It is a little tight in here, yeah.
Let's leave that right there. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And you feel like you put more weight on that right leg. That might be why. So this is your iliacus muscle. We'll show you on Mr. Skeleton here.
Okay.
But what it does is when it gets overstretched, the back closes down, which is what we saw is that muscle's really tight.
Yeah.
When we strengthen it, actually help take this pubic bone, pull it back. The iliacus helps pull back, turn the hips in, and automatically there I feel my hamstring stretching. So it helps close down, stabilize, puts those femurs in the socket, which is good. Kind of like your shoulders, think about rotator cuff. You know,
Yeah.
some of the muscles help pull anteriorly, some posteriorly, so some are overdeveloped. Then you gotta kind of rotate it. Most of us kind of rotate it in. Then we do this to keep our heads level. We create the hip problem with the shoulder problem, and the spine's like. So as soon as we start lengthening, we actually fix those shoulders. We start opening them up. Hips actually need to close down. So I was like, oh, we pinch the shoulder blades back, which makes us look good posture-wise. My hips are really externally rotated. So you shouldn't think about like shoulders in your pocket like everyone says. What we actually try to train you to do is bring that pubic symphysis back, use that psoas, and get big and tall, rooted to the ground. And that's the same stance we want in all these exercises. So let's get into those right now. We'll help you up. Okay, Catherine, we'll have you go through the squat again. Before we do that, let's have you just go through a big breath. So just normal breathing. Let's see what you do. Just expand the rib cage, however you think is right, and we'll take a look at that. I think that left shoulder's a little higher. It's that muscle I was digging into, levator scap. Even though we worked on it, still doing some of that breathing. Let's see that again. Do you feel that pulling a little bit there in the shoulders? When you breathe, they come up just a hair. A lot of people really breathe with the shoulders. You're pretty good. And your shoulders are, like I said, they're pulled back into your pockets.
Yeah.
Let's think about kind of rounding a little bit. Pull that, find that pubic bone here. We'll get this is Bill Bone Backens here. So look at that. And his is not like most people. Most people, we kind of push that point forward.
Yeah.
So think about pulling that back. You notice your feet are going to have to hold on to the ground as you pull back, and your chest is going to get big, but also here, you feel this kind of open up. Because most of us, we let the pubic symphysis come forward and we pull these down and back. Think about pulling them down, but wide.
Okay.
And maybe even wide and not back at all. Just really expand. And that's going to get you a good stretch. Even here when you breathe, probably front of the neck, the scalenes, pec minor a little bit, because we're actually going to teach these shoulders to open versus the blades just doing all the work. Sometimes the blade comes back and the shoulder still rotates in. So it's that optical illusion. Like you look good, but it's still turned in. You're like, but why do I still have these shoulder problems? So we want to actually pry that open with a big expansive breath. Let's go right into our founder. Open up there. So yeah, pull these away from each other. Yeah, push out into my thumbs with your breath. Yeah, there you go. How's that feel?
Interesting.
A little different.
But almost lighter. Like I feel a lot of tension coming off of a lot of areas. Like,
good.
I don't know.
That's a tough breath for you. I can feel you're activating there. So that's a breathing muscle.
Okay.
So that's your serratus anterior. We dug into it a little bit. Attaches underneath here on this inside border and goes to these ribs. So anything goes to the ribs is going to help expand. Okay. So a lot of times we're either here, pushing on that pubic symphysis, think about your elbows going really wide. Take a breath. Wide breath, you should feel that muscle working a little bit. So most of us, when we breathe, the chest comes up. Think about widening that, filling this. That looks a lot better. Now open up those arms. And you should feel a little more stretch here. Don't lose what you've gained, right? And scoop those hands up as you pull the hips back, unlock the knees. That tension looks a lot better. And you're more level, you're not shifted as much to the left. Take a breath. Can you feel that more right there a little bit than the left side? So when you're doing this stretch, you can focus on that. Okay, I'm gonna breathe a little bit more here. I'm gonna try to open up this. And you're doing really good. A lot of people arch a lot when they do it, and that's actually not gonna stretch this. Awesome, come back out of that. So when you're doing it in real time, you're coming to this big breath position, you're squeezing your inner thighs together or pushing out, either way works. Some people push out, reach, fingertips together. My hips are pushing through the ground, coming back up. So you can do that with the breath cycle. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Give me just 2 of those. I don't want to make you sweat too much here. I like the shake, that's good. The shake has changed. A little less bend in the knees. That's the yoga we got to beat out of you a little bit. The knees almost want to initiate the motion.
Yeah.
Let the hips pull back and the knees come along for the ride. They're not going to lock out, they just kind of stay in that bent position. My hips are coming back. If you look at my knees, there's maybe a little tiny bent in there. We should feel it in the meat of the hamstrings.
Okay.
The knees stay bent, you'll kind of feel the quads doing too much.
Yeah.
One more time. And that initial breath just sets the whole stage because it gives you the length and expansion in the spine. That looks a lot better. And your feet are working. This will help train those arches as well. Let's see a squat, go a little wider. And now you can let the knees do some work. Still a lot of hip motion. Come back up. Let me see one more, make sure you're more centered. That looks a ton better. Feel smoother?
Yeah.
Less shifty?
And also, I think I realize as I'm standing here, even just watching you, that I do put the weight on my left foot.
Ah.
So, it's interesting.
It's hard to notice, like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Because a lot of us, like, we like to do this shifting. So I tell you, like, you're at Walmart, just, like, ground both feet equally. Just take a breath. Every little chance is a good chance to just work on this kind of stability stuff.
Yeah.
Let's do that lunge, and we'll finish up with that to see if you feel steadier. Because now that we unlock the hips, they should feel a little bit better. So just going to reach the right leg back, right arm away from each other.
Okay.
Get as much distance as you can. Then drop that knee slowly down. That look really controlled. Sometimes getting up out of it is the harder part, but that look really good. Left side. I think this side you didn't like as much. Much better. A lot more control.
Yeah.
Before it kind of thunk down.
Right.
A lot of people do that when they're working out too. They just like bam, bam, dropping the knee, but it's that slow control. Sometimes one of those is worth 10 sloppy ones.
Yeah.
Do you know what a single leg RDL is? It's
No.
the other homework I would give you, because I like weight. This is really lightweight, doesn't even count as weight, but it's that same type of exercise. So you're taking that leg, you're grounding through the left, pull these toes up and just push that leg behind you, and you're just reaching, just put that bell right beside your heel, and then you're pushing up.
Okay.
Try that. Weight is good because your body automatically says, oh, I have to lift up against it.
Yeah.
As soon as you're holding some weight. Maybe not with this, because you probably need like 20 pounds. And then try to bring that weight right there. First one's always sloppy, it's okay. Other hand can reach out or to the side to give you some balance. You can even hold on to a wall. Good. And maybe just a little bit right there. It's gonna make you kick this leg back more. That's why I like that. Now pull up out of that. One little thing I'll add is, yeah, you bring that knee up because that helps you tighten that, and that's good for that psoas.
Okay.
That'll help you on that. Just pay attention to which side feels harder for you.
Okay.
It probably is that left leg. But let's try it out. Good. Well, I don't know, that was pretty tough too. We found a good exercise for you. And that back leg, you're turning it a little bit.
Yeah.
It helps to, that's why this helps pull that, we call it dorsiflexion, pulling that up towards you will help keep that back leg a lot straighter as I'm going down. I don't want that swinging out that way or swinging out this way. It's like pretend I'm behind you and you really hate me and you just want to kick me right in the gut. So you're kicking, 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 put that bell down, push back up. Let's see one more.
On the left side or the left one?
Let's do the left one.
Okay.
You like that one. Take a breath too. Get that knee up. Breathe in that belly. Think about that pubic symphysis again, pulling back. The stronger the core is, the more it's going to make your hip work, and then less your spine is going to help out. So that breath is everything.
Yeah.
So take time at the top, just pull in, get as much wide and tall as you can. Plant that right leg, you're rooting into the ground, even bend that knee a little bit. I like to bend my knee and pull my hip back at the same time. And then reach with that back leg, reach. If it helps to do it without weight, that's throwing you off, then just do it like that.
Okay.
Good. But it should be kind of, connection all the way up. You feel your feet working. It's gonna really retrain those hips and the core.
Yeah.
All right, torture's over.
Awesome.
Questions, thoughts, concerns?
I don't think I have any questions, but I think this definitely gives me just a better understanding of
Little
how
homework.
everything
Just
works
5 minutes
together.
a day.
Yeah.
The assessment is kind of what you should be going through every day, is working on your squat, seeing how low you can get, but also maintaining the hips. If you feel too much in your knees or you're kind of going too much on your toes and it looks like that, like, oh yeah, it hurts there.
Yeah.
Think about that founder exercise. I'm hinging first, then maybe add the squat, see if that feels better.
Okay.
So you can run through those different movements together. So maybe 10 squats, 10 founders, 5 lunges each side, and then do 5 of those RDLs.
Okay.
Stands for Romanian deadlift.
Okay.
Single leg Romanian deadlift.
Awesome.
Which is pretty much just a lunge.
Yeah.
Just really balancing in one leg.
Yeah.
Which is good. Get good and then you close your eyes and do it. It's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably have to work my way up to that level
Well,
of balance.
It's a good place to start. You actually really got good motion right now.
Cool.
It's a good time to fix it.